These juvenile races are just going to be harder to break down. They're going to take more time because they're 2-year-old horses, and there's a fucking ton of them. So don't be alarmed at the amount of time it took to break down the 6th race. Some of these races will go faster than others. Now we have the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. And man, am I excited about this race. As I said earlier, usually we don't have stars, huge stars in this race, and we have them here. Huge stars. Battle of Midway was 3rd in the Kentucky Derby this year. Huge star. Accelerate won the San Diego Handicap this year. She beat Arrogate in that race, and then lost to Arrogate right after in the Pacific Classic, the Grade 1. Look at the buyers here. So we're looking at 79 and 80 buyers. Accelerate's just run 110 and 109. That's a big deal. That's a big deal when you look at these other horses who haven't, I mean, you can't really compare 2-year-olds to older horses, but man, these are big lines. So let's go through it. First off, the favorite in this race is a horse called More Spirit, Bob Baffert horse. She just ran a Met Mile that was an absolute masterpiece. It was easily the fastest race of her career, of his career, and he beat Sharp Azteca by 6 1/4 lengths. And Sharp Azteca is the 3 horse in this race. Will be going off at 9-2. Will be going right to the pace, and is a good horse who's never run at Del Mar before, and that could hurt him. But a very good horse. More Spirit has never ran here either. And the big question, so look at this buyer that the More Spirit just ran in that Metropolitan Mile, 117. I mean, that's just fucking out of control. That's just alarmingly fast. But that was 146 days ago. Now people expect him to do the same thing on a track he's never run on before? No. Yes, he's a perfect 3 for 3 at this distance, but I just think this is another opportunity where we can stay away from the favorite and find somebody to beat him. Next favorite at 7-2 is Accelerate, who we just talked about. Just ran back-to-back big figures, which we showed you, 109 and 110 on this track. That's why Accelerate, I think, will be bet down to become the favorite. It was here at Del Mar where she had those huge numbers. That is a huge deal. She loves Del Mar. She's 2 for 2 at the mile here at this track. That's dangerous. He's a very dangerous horse. He placed 3rd in this race last year at 42-1. Accelerates had a big year and is a much improved horse. That's why it's 7-2. And this year's Dirt Mile is a much tougher race than last year's. So those are the big favorites. And then the next one too is Sharp Azteca, who we talked about. That's who More Spirit beat by 6 1/3. Has also won back-to-back races since losing to More Spirit, and will take the lead. This race will have a fast pace. Now, the big issue with this 1 mile race, and we touched a little bit on it in the beginning, is that it's a mile long, but it's 2 turns. 2 turns, which is something that my horse that I want to bet on to win this race, Practical Joke, has never succeeded in. Practical Joke has never won a 2-turn race, but has never lost a 1-turn mile. Undefeated at 1 turn, and never won on 2 turns. And that's uncomforting. But Practical Joke is a 3-year-old horse who's getting better and better. Practical Joke was in the juvenile dirt last year here. Not here, but in the Breeders' Cup. And he looked good. He came 3rd by 7 3/4, losing to Classic Empire. Not this time. Was jostled 5-4 wide. Then Practical Joke ran in the Kentucky Derby. Now that's too far for him. We have learned that Practical Joke's limit is 1 mile. In the Kentucky Derby, he looked pretty good. Remember, the track was muddy, and he was only 5 lengths back, and then near the mile mark was only 3.5 lengths back, but then it just became too much. Practical Joke came 5th in the Kentucky Derby, which was a sign of the class, which was a sign of how good this horse is. Then it got better. It finally ran in a 1 mile race at Belmont in the Grade 3 Dwyer and looked amazing. 101 buyer, 4-4-4, first. This horse is going to stalk the pace and fucking pounce. That's why I think the outside post isn't going to hurt him that much. A lot of people on SBR Forum was like, the outside post is going to crush him. These horses that are comfortable with Del Mar are going to win this race, meaning Accelerate and Sharp Azteca. But Practical Joke, look at this run, this last race. 7 furlongs, 7 lengths back, 5 lengths back, and then 1 at a mile and a quarter. And I had Practical Joke in that race. I had him to beat American Anthem, and he did it with ease. I really like Practical Joke. Now, I know that 2 turns is a problem. It's worried all of us. Chad Brown is Practical Joke's trainer, said, I'd be much more confident if this race was around 1 turn. Unbeaten in 5 starts at 1 turn, winless in 5 starts at 2 turns. Sure, that's immensely important. But a fast pace really helps Practical Joke, and Sharp Azteca is going to guarantee that to happen. Now, another issue is this will be Practical Joke's first time against older horses. That's a problem. That's tough. But I think this horse is blossoming right now. I think this horse is coming into his own right now, and that's why I'm taking Practical Joke at 10-1 to win the dirt mile. Let's talk about a few other horses and move on. There's 5, Awesome Slew, comes from off the pace. The faster the pace, the better his chances, much like Practical Joke. He will always give you a nice run. He's going to give you a crooked number at 12-1. He lost to More Spirit by 10 lengths in that Met Mile, but that was just a ridiculous race. Then we have the 7, Cupid, at 8-1. He won the Grade 1 Gold Cup, but I think it was against a weak field. You'll get Cupid at a great price, but he did not look good as a favorite in the Awesome Again. That was his last race. Then we have the 9 horse, which is quite an interesting horse, Battle of Midway. He was 3rd in the Kentucky Derby, and we think he could benefit moving back to a mile. Ran the best race of his career here, 2 back, and that was his first race using blinkers. You're going to get a nice number on Battle of Midway. 10-1, Hollendorf for the trainer, Pratt the jockey. Has looked very good since he donned blinkers. The first was in the Shared Belief here at Del Mar, 100K race. He won by 6 lengths and a quarter. Was not the favorite. And then he won the Derby here at where was it? The Oklahoma Derby. The Oklahoma Derby, which was a Grade 3, and he came 2nd by a length and 3/4, and he was the favorite. Lost 1 trap that day. I think Battle Midway could be an issue, but I like Practical Joke. So my picks on that are, I like Practical Joke to win. I'm going to time with Accelerate in the Exactor box. I like both those horses a lot. Obviously, I think More Spirit could be around, and I think Sharp Azteca could be around, as well as Battle of Midway. That is the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, Grade 1, right there in the books.